In the previous live coding, we found an incorrect part of design that was making TDD hard. And so in this session, we finish fixing that up. And then it's really amazing. Test-driven development just sort of flows once the conditions are right. We're back for another 90 minutes of live coding with your host, John Reed. Yay! I feel like the Muppet Show. Welcome, Mudshark and Eric. Glad to have you both as always. Hope you're well. Hope other folks will join as we go. So I'm a developer and a coach, and what else was I gonna say? Folks who are watching this after the fact, if you're watching after the fact on Twitch, hey, follow me and maybe join in sometime if you can. Folks watching on YouTube after the fact, welcome, glad to have you. You know what to do. Like and subscribe. My middle name, as Stephen Baker says. Let's get into it. Where are we? Oh, last time we discovered that the TDD we had done actually had a wrong design, and so we were working backwards to undo some stuff, or to work in the right things we need, and trying to address technical debt, which means technical debt means the code looks like it wasn't written intentionally and easily. When you don't have debt, it looks like it's on purpose and everything is super clear and it reflects your current understanding of the domain. So, hey Garbob, welcome. I don't know what's wrong with my viewer count. It says one person here. Whatever. Oh, maybe it's freaked out today. So we are working on Mastermind and trying to get that check guess button to show feedback, and discovered that in addition to the number of colors in the correct, number of pegs in the correct position and number of pegs in the wrong position, we needed to have what's the total number of pegs? What's the total count of this thing? And so we worked in a new field and a new property here. But now, nothing is actually setting that property. We need to provide the correct size as we evaluate guesses against the secret code to say, this is the size. By the way, before we get going, I wanted to share some thoughts which will probably make Mudshark happy, at least tease him for the future. And that was, I'm writing a new blog post about whether or not it makes sense to do unit testing or micro testing of UI code. And I was drawing myself a nice test pyramid, which shouldn't look too surprising, except I was noticing this nebulous middle and realizing that that is a missing piece. Yes, I love having all sorts of tests down here. And then I thought about, because I'm writing about how most of the time when I write my tests, I don't even care what the implementation is. I don't care if the if the logic has been properly extracted yet into and separating out a logic layer and a presentation layer from the actual UI code. And it struck me, and I wrote, these are good things to do because they lead to a more command-centric design. And command-centric made me think about, well, I looked up what Martin Fowler, how he draws his test pyramid. And in the middle here, he has system tests, which he also describes as subcutaneous, that is right under the skin. In other words, he wants tests that bypass the UI, but still run the system. And I thought, oh, this is sounding a lot like GPAW's Maker app and integration tests, which I haven't seen done very often, never in real life, for iOS apps. And that is the ability to say, you know what? Forget the UI. But we're still going to run the whole thing through this other command-based thing and basically have the ability to either in a running app or from the terminal, fire off commands and say, for example, make a secret, don't like force this to be the secret. Boom. Now let's play. Here's a turn. Give me the answer. Here's a turn. Give me the answer. Play a game. Maybe give whole history. Be able to play multiple games in one shot. It just, I know that I've been leaning more towards for this for the purposes of our code to say, let's go straight into the UI, into the view, and let's work from there, and then we'll discover the design and work backwards. And part of my motivation for this has been to give an answer to people who are used to just coding stuff straight in their views without considering a separate presentation layer. And part of the reason not to do that with SwiftUI is that it might be overkill to have a separate presentation layer sometimes. And yet, what if we had the ability to run a game, to make a new game and run it maybe we don't need a terminal app to do this. Maybe we can just have tests inside the domain model, some sort of like acceptance test or integration test. These are the things that are bumping around in my head. But for now, let's get back to the task at hand, which is total count needs to be correct for everything. It also struck me that, yes, it's nice that I'm testing these fields independently. It let me add this total count field without breaking everything. On the other hand, there is an advantage to breaking everything in that it forces me. Here, I'll show you what I mean. What I'd like is this to be 2. Does that make sense to have this all over the place? Maybe. Like maybe this should be equatable and we should just compare two things against each other. But let's start here. I hope some of that rambling made sense. It's all just bumbling around in my head, and I'm curious if you have any thoughts or ideas. All right, so the total count, initial value -1, that's good. So let's fix this. This is on evaluate. There it is. And this should be... Eric, feels like SwiftUI blurs this gap because View Inspector really helps, I guess, to run SwiftUI without the rendering phase. I mean, this is how I've done UIKit coding as well, is just be able to talk to the thing as if it were rendered, as if it were running. And I don't want to have to burden people. I guess where my thoughts are going is that there is an opportunity to test the game more thoroughly, maybe with an acceptance test. Let's put that in just as a note. A note. Blue note. Game acceptance tests. There. Now it's out of my head. Now let's get back here. We want the secret size or the guest size. They should be the same. Does it matter? Initial feedback. Oh. It should just return the size that we have there. Okay, good. Let's get this in. Return feedback size from evaluate. So, question on our feedback tests. What do you think? Do we want kind of... Let's experiment. Let's try making this equatable. And feel what it feels like to say, I'm just going to put down here. This is going to be feedback. That's getting long. What's wrong? Was it not feedback? Oh, habits. What do you think about this versus this? I feel like at this time I should do this everywhere, and that doing so will guard against missing a new, if we ever add a new field. The problem is that then it forces you to add It just breaks everything all at once. So I'm never quite sure how I feel about this. For now, I think I'm going to revert this. And we'll just stick these in here redundantly. This will still be green. It's basically just spiffing up the tests. So this is a test-only change. All right, so we've got the secret passing back the total. Now we need to use that total in the feedback. What's that look like? Here we are. Let's come back here. Bring this back into play. Okay, so we are now trying to take the feedback struct, which is just 3 values, and determine from them how to represent that with pegs. And this is still nothing. This isn't really anything yet. We shouldn't even need these. Hey, a number of folks have joined. Welcome. Glad to have you. Say hello. Let's see if this is even the right test. So we have feedback that says we've got a total count of 2 and nothing is correct. Then we should be able to say, well, we've got 2 pegs and they're both empty. I'm not even sure count makes sense. Like, shouldn't it just be an array of what pegs you have? In this case, 2 empty pegs. That's what I'm thinking. Let's see. Let's play with the test. Only have 2 counters. Hey! Welcome! Correct and misplaced, yeah. And the total. Glad to have you, 2 Dinosaurus. Welcome. I hope my email was, I don't know. Clearly from your email to Dinosaurus, I haven't had a chance to reply yet. You've gone down an interesting road with a very simple scenario, and it feels almost like maybe that's not the kind of thing that we want to write tests against, and that to test it, okay, sorry everyone. I'll reply to you. I'll think about it some more. But thanks for your update. Visualization is n pegs for correct guesses, then n pegs for misplaced, and then empties. So, for example, these are empty right now. And if I say green, green, black, black, that's one right, one incorrect, and two strikes. So we want to be able to draw this or represent this. So I feel like count is not ideal. We should just say, here are the pegs you get. So let's make the test the way we want it. I like your question and your problem too, Dinosaurs. The test I would like to have is to be able to say, I expect the feedback pegs something to equal empty, empty. Feedback pegs, I mean, it's redundant and it's not a good name, but let's go with pegs. Count is needed to represent the number of pegs when you have no matches. No, even when you do have matches, if the incorrect and the wrong don't fill them up, we still need to have empty ones. In any case, I think this is closer to the test I want. So let's just do it. Pegs is going to be an array of feedback peg. Hey, Tommy. Yeah. So now let's go green. And then let's triangulate. But first, we are green. Clean this up. That's good enough. Triangulating feedback pegs. Hard-coded. Once again, I feel a desire for parameterized test. Maybe not. Well, in any case, we know that this is incorrect, which means we're missing a test. Just go like this. One peg. There we go. All right. What's the easiest way to get this to pass? We're going to have to hold on to the feedback. It almost feels like overkill to have a type here, but let's keep going. This is going to return an array. There we go. It figured it out. Expect it to be green. Good. Yes, okay. We're on the same page now. Welcome, lurkers. We are working in Swift doing test-driven development. So far, well, not so far. Right now, we're ducking outside of the UI part, and we're just working with domain stuff. So it's plain old TDD. Empty feedback pegs. Now we have an opportunity to refactor the tests, and let's see if can't do this. Okay. And that's not empty. That is a feedback peg empty. Whoop. There we go. So this becomes 2 arguments. Let's reverse them. This is the total count, and this is expected. Right? It should still compile. Now we can feed this in here and here. And this is now many of one. Those of you who have been around should start recognizing these patterns. And now we can take this whole thing and say this should be Is this clearer? It's hard to read with these arguments. I kind of want to go separate them. Like that. That reads a little easier. There we go. And now we can get rid of this. Test refactoring. As always, if you see something, my coffee's getting cold because I forgot to turn on my coffee heater. If you see something and you're like, I don't know about that, speak up. Yeah, so this is a decent test refactoring, I think. It also makes it possible. Well, what is this test now? This is the forgot to change the name. We are testing basically that there's no guess, or when everything is wrong. um duh, duh, duh. Nothing correct yet. Something like that. So this is a test only change. Combine tests to parameterized test. So I'm not worrying about how to represent the colors yet. Oh yeah, we'll get there. So this right now it's that the concept of empty, and then there's going to be the concept of hey Marcus, the concept of you have the correct position, and then we'll have maybe another mapping. This is interesting. Are you going to add a separate test for when things are correct? Oh yeah. Let's do that. Maps? No, if you see any mapping, that's all sort of like, it's not. Something I try not to use. Yeah, so these are Swift testing arguments. Someday we'll be able to use Swift testing at work, Marcus. Hopefully soon. Let's make another test. Here we go. We did this. Did this. We did this. Let's do perfect match. I'm not saying no maps. Sometimes I've used maps. Maybe it's just because I'm old, Eric. You're young and you can think with nomads. Hey, restrained D, no monads. But you can have burritos. No burritos. Okay, let's do perfect match. We are now. Yikes. Let's do perfect match. Where we're going to have like say 2 in the correct position and there are 2 total. That's a perfect match. And so this will be equal to, look at that. Let us now right, we were expecting this, that we would get empty, empty, and now we want it to be correct, correct. And it's a perfect match. Well, we want to fill in all the corrects first. Okay, here's where it's going to get fun. This is going to be like a basic TDD exercise now. Here's how it works. We want to fill in correct pegs and then fill in misplaced. Oh, that's nice. And then that, like that. That's what I want. So let's start doing this. If we get a result, and just to keep things passing, I kind of want to say result equals append I'm just going to say equals that. This should keep us in a position where these tests, excuse me, there are 2 here, are still passing and this one still fails. Okay. Now let's start. Fill in the correct pegs. Let's evaluate. Well, it's sort of what we're doing right now. Oh, but not quite, right? Eric, Llewellyn Falco just gave a really mind-blowing talk about TDD with ChatGPT. There we go. Yep, that's the one. This is a fresh talk. It is mind-blowing. Some people, I know one TDD person who hates it, because Llewellyn is leaning so far into learning how to work. It's kind of like metaprogramming, learning how to prompt correctly so that you just take the generated code and you don't even clean it up, because it's just generated code and it's just going to get regenerated. So why spend time cleaning it up as long as it works? So it's pretty mind-blowing. That's not what we're doing here, though. We're going to go let this sort of fill it in. Come on. Is this going to... No, I want this. There we go. That's funny looking. And then the count is going to be another append. Don't worry, we're going to clean this up. I'm just trying to get there. Remember, with TDD, it can be ugly. You know, I cannot read. Oh. You know, that's really an irrelevant question, I think, unless you were looking at this. If you were looking up here and you're asking about these, this is good links so that I can save stuff. It's like a bookmarking system outside of Safari bookmarks, and review things and tag them, and 1Password. And welcome, Rafoxet. We are going to clean this up, but I want to say let's do this and see if we are now green. Okay, it's gross. It is gross. That's okay. We don't mind gross code. We don't, with TDD, don't fear gross code. Perfect. Yes. Now let's clean it up. By the way, I thought we might have a parameterized test, but because this was not hard-coded in as the result here anywhere, I feel no need for a parameterized test on this. It's correct. So let us append Is there a way to append an array? What I want to do is basically say, turn this into result kind of, contents of. There we go. Array in it. What I'm wondering is if we can do this. I wish there were a way in ChatGPT. Oh, I did it wrong. Not empty. Correct. Whee! I wish there were a way. You can do this with IntelliJ. To say, I want to render the chat, the suggestion, and maybe, you know, this is so in the Apple Intelligence augmented version of Xcode. I want the suggestion from the models to be in some weird color, not in the same color as my comments or other things. I want it to be a strikingly different color so that it's clear This is not me. This is I'm having a conversation here. I don't know. This works. Let's go with this for now. So this is a test supported refactoring. Instead of looping. So yeah, is there a way to just say smash this into the other one? I don't know. Append with contents of is working though. We want to do the same thing down here, don't we? We want empty, and we want this. And look at how this is cleaning up the code. Nice. So that's another refactoring. Test supported. And empty array. That takes care of that. It's fun when things just sort of fly together in the design. I say fly together, but fly together meant going down a wrong rabbit hole and discovering that the design was wrong and having to work stuff in, right? So right color, wrong position. There are two ways we want to do this. Let's see. Start from the tests. Right color, probably right colors in wrong positions. I want it to be plural so that know that I'm getting multiples. So I want this to be at least a 2. It would be nice if this were, well, we'll start with, let's start with this. So here we want mismatch. What did I call it in the comment? Misplaced. I'm just going to put it down here. Like that. I expect this test will come back and say empty empty is not equal to misplaced misplaced. Come on back to me, cursor. Thank you. Empty empty is not equal to misplaced misplaced. Good. The solution starts to suggest itself. Right? Not empty. Misplaced. This, I believe, will pass. This is incorrect. We'll drive that out. Next. Didn't pass. Surprise. Misplaced, empty, empty. Oh, it's already bungled up there. Okay. So I already need to do it. I thought it could wait. And now this is getting too long. Let us... how to break this up? Trying to find a way to make this... Okay, don't worry about it, John. Just get it to pass. Okay, now we can start cleaning things up here, getting rid of the comments which are no longer needed. We got some long lines. At least this one is quite long. There we go. Yeah. Thanks, Eric. I think you might have been the one to teach me Control M originally. I use it a lot now. And, you know, that's all right. That's not awful. Okay. This is right colors in wrong positions. I want to add one more test that just for a sanity check. Yeah, got lucky there, didn't I? Right on that line. A sanity check. I'm positive this code is correct, but I want a more complicated test that mixes them all up. By the way, I'm no longer sure how I feel about having at test on its own. Now that I'm getting used to saying, well... Oh, I remember why. I think I originally had these separated, and then Bill Wake said, oh, I'm getting a warning from having it on separate lines, and so I put it on the same line for him. Maybe it was, I don't know what was giving him the warning, though. Maybe it was, I'm not sure. Tell me what you think. Do you prefer this or do you prefer this? Especially when we have these up here. When we have parameterized as tests. I don't know. It sort of feels like it keeps the same shape. Consistency is not everything, but it can be a nice thing. This is going to be like acceptance, where we're going to have like something, how about you got SwiftLint. What was it complaining about, Garbub? Do you remember the SwiftLint warning? You're splitting this across 2 lines. Yes, I am. Like maybe you want to say we got 1 right, 2 wrong, and there are 4. In which case we want, it's not acceptance, it's not just acceptance. Correct, misplaced, misplaced, empty. Yes, that's right. This is mixture of all. Empty is showing up funny there. Probably because it thinks that's another property. I think this will pass. This is not to TDD. This is, I mean, there's nothing wrong with this. It will make me feel better, and it gives a clearer acceptance, and it especially gives a note, something that we can share with the product owner or the customer to say, look, this is how it works. This is the feedback we get. Right? Right. By the way, just for the note, there is a bug in Xcode 16 with Swift testing. It can crash when there's a duplicate of the value in a parameterized test. Oh. Oh. Interesting. Way to go, Eric. Nice job. So this is a test-only change. Mixture of all. Feedback pigs. Feeling pretty good about this. Remember what I said about technical debt. Technical debt means the code reflects your current understanding and it looks like it was easy. And in this case, once we got the design right, it was easy to do this. All this just flew out once we made the right choices about the design. Okay. Maybe we're at a point now where we can start showing these as colors. All right. This is all to show the feedback. Let me make this a different layer. I'm going to do some reparenting here. This is determine the feedback. We did that. Wow. What happened to these? Here we go. Now we want to show as colored pegs. Specifically white, black. Hope this makes some sense, or is what the work is. I love me discovery trees. They are so good, so helpful. All right, let's think about this. And then, wow, crazy arrow there. And then I'll decide how I'm feeling about my energy. I'm just like, I like this, right? It feels good. I want to put a bow on it and say, yay, we did a thing. We're done. Celebrate and walk away. And I may do that. I don't know. But let's think about what we want to do. And actually, even this is kind of weird. The feedback pegs is not a very good type. All it's doing is translating from feedback into pegs, which then we're going to turn into colors or something. One thing we want to keep in mind is that there is a version. Why this rendering is full. There is something I want to keep in mind. And that is for colorblind. If we play colorblind, oh, the pegs are still the same. Okay, so that's not any different as far as the pegs go. All right. One subtle thing about this is that the empty pegs are smaller to show that there's nothing there, and the colored pegs feel like they've been filled in with white or black. Black for correct, white for misplaced. Let's come back to our game. Put away the domain for a second. And remind ourselves what the game screen looks like. We have no pegs. I'd like to represent them. How to break this down? The breakdown I am imagining is render to empty hard-coded. Like, let's just get them to show up in the right place and be okay. Oh, if they're 4, they stack up in this nice square. What happens if we have more colors? 6 is normal. Let's play again. Whoops. Oh, that's the number of guesses. Still 4 here. I wonder if it's time to bump this up from 2 to 4. Yes, this is how many colors there are available to you. And it definitely becomes harder when there are more colors than there are slots. Let's look at Mastermind, the game again. There we go. Look at that. Yeah, 4. Okay, so that's something else we're going to have to do. Which means we need set guess size to 4. I can render things and then render white, black for correct, white for, what was it, misplaced? And increase the size, so the radius, for non-empty. That's starting to look like something that we can tackle. You know, just like show the feedback felt big to me. I think one minimum secret guess is also 4. Oh yeah, that's right, the secret. Set guess and secret. Thank you. Ooh, nice. Yep. Very good. Yeah, this feels to me like another session in terms of my energy and attention. And so currently, let's look at the app. And here we are. We've got the number of code choices. That's the number of colors from which you can choose. And the secret size is hard-coded to 2 here. And this is outside of everything else at sort of the root level. So if I change this to 4, let's just see what we get. Oh. This has to be at least 4. Oh, we're going to have to do some work. I mean, yes, it works, but it doesn't fit. So let me just note that. and still fit. Thank you. Yeah, this is feeling good. Let's call it early today. This has been good. Thoughts? Retro time. Once the design is right, it can really flow. It felt like just like boom, 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 boom. Right? Any other observations? I do want to think about acceptance testing as sort of a missing piece right now. But what else did we do here? Secret, provide the size, use a total. I don't know, we just sort of knocked it out. Oh, here's one more thing. Let's do this right now. Let's improve the design. Feedback pegs is not, doesn't feel like it's an object. It feels like it's just a function. It's just mapping one thing into another. Let's do that. Let me turn this back into play. Whoops. This is what I want to do. Because right now we're violating it's a code smell, right? This is a lazy object. All it does is get feedback and turn it into pegs. So why can't it be a function instead? There's no need for injection of any kind. Hello, Chandu16. By the way, it's 2025. You're going to have to update your little thing there. Welcome. Oh, this book, that's me. That's my book. The book itself is written with a UI kit focus. And so in these sessions, we're playing with SwiftUI. But for this particular session, we were outside of the UI stuff. And yeah, my recommendation for writing, the cheapest, easiest way, my book did not start as a book. It started as blog posts. And maybe you don't even want a blog. Maybe you just want to write an article, and maybe like even at work, write up a thing saying this is a recommended thing or something I learned, and learn how to write. It's a good skill. And then you could guest post on some blog, or just, I don't know, find a way. You can just slap it up into Markdown and put it on GitHub, right? And say, just render this thing. In other words, lower the entry bar for yourself and learn if you want to write. Writing is fun. Writing in some ways is like coding. Now, what platform do you work on, Chandu? Or platforms? Let's turn this into something else. To refactor this, web dev, C#, Angular, MS SQL. Nice. C# is kind of fun. Let's take this and let's extract this into a function that takes something and returns feedback pegs from it. So this is, it takes the feedback learning how to do unit testing well is a really important skill, no matter your platform. And if you learn how to write useful tests, that is, tests that actually test the behavior of your code, you'll be in good shape. The tests not to write are tests that test the implementation of your code. I don't care about your implementation, and your tests shouldn't care either. What we want are outcomes. Outcomes. Applesauce. I need a better name for applesauce. And this is starting to feel like it's something that goes on feedback, doesn't it? A method on feedback? Well, let's start here. Applesauce. You know what? That's a fine name. So if I can say applesauce feedback, and there, I've just done applesauce. There. Oh, Mudshark is quite correct. Writing tests after the code is the hardest way to write tests. Write tests, test-driven development is the easiest way to write tests. I am using LLM more and more all the time. I really am. It even came into play this time. Boy, we got more folks here. Hello, Moel Nagar. Hi from Egypt. Wow. What's your recommendation for following this great series? Can I attend the live or should I start from the beginning? Thank you for the awesome stuff. Thank you, Moel. The fun of attending live is being able to have this conversation, right? I guess my recommendation, I don't know, maybe you can go back, and it's all on YouTube under at Quality Coding. Here. All there. And yeah, John CVV. Welcome, YouTuber. Good to have you live. That's exciting. So I don't know, if you have the time, join in live because it's interactive. Catch up on the series. I have that broken down into like I have different playlists, and you could start back at the beginning. Recommendation: turn up the playback speed to maybe 2x, because there's a lot of and thinking And I speak slowly because I'm an introvert. Mudshark did the same. And yeah, the great thing about the recordings is that you can save time. My earlier sessions were 1 hour long. So you can see what I learned, what we learned. You mean YouTube Live? I don't know how to do that. Also, I don't want it to just to go up on YouTube Live and then be there because I actually do some editing. Not much. I add an intro to the YouTube videos to explain what I summarize the session so that people know what it is they can expect to watch. So this is starting to feel like it should be maybe a method on feedback itself. But for now, I'm going to call this a useful extract. Oh, there we go. Let's reset this. That's better. So this is a test-supported procedural refactoring of extract function. Everything I'm doing, I'm pushing up to GitHub. Is it like this? No? Is it like this? There we go. So you can play around, trace the history, try it yourself, explore. All right, we are doing, now this is starting to feel like I should do a move function. So a move would be copy, go to feedback itself. Oh. Interesting. This dumb data object is it's gonna grow some smarts. Is that what we want? Do we want this thing to have any intelligence? Or do we want it to be a dumb container? Huh. Well, you know what I say? Let's try it and see. The way you do a move function is paste it in and fix it up. And so we don't need feedback. It is the feedback. And so everything in here, yep, that looks like where we are going. Everything in here that's feedback dot goes away to be compilable. And now this name presents itself. Pegs. Should it be a computed variable? Like that? Let's try it. Let's try it and see how it fits. So now back here, I can just say feedback pegs. This is all now dead code. Okay. So that's a move function. We're still doing the move function because now this feels too light. Like this is a lazy object. And instead of feedback pegs tests, this sort of comes into feedback tests. Maybe I can just move the feedback pegs tests in here. Let's fix this up first. Feedback. So instead of calling feedback, creating a feedback pegs, we want this to be feedback like that. Let's see if this works. Good. We are in the midst of applying one of Kent Beck's rules of simple design. Oops. We are sort of applying parallel change to get there, in a way. There. Yes. Now we've switched over, and now feedback pegs isn't called. But first, let me commit this because it's green. I'm going to show the whole thing so that folks keep seeing it. This is a test-only change of, this is a parallel thing. The interesting thing, important thing about the design rules is that they have a hierarchy. We are currently chasing the weakest rule, which is fewest elements. So yes, this is a parallel change to cross over to new method. And then we ought to be able to, if it's all working, I'm just going to be bold here and I'm going to hit, I was going to hit delete, but that's going to make this go away. Let's pull this out into its own thing. Like that. Moving in small steps. This is a not automated, but low risk nonetheless. I should fix this up so that it's like automated refactoring or something. I guess that becomes a provable refactoring. This is extract feedback peg to own file. And now we can delete this. Boom, boom, boom. Great. Delete dead code. I like it. Hey, this session has stretched out. I was going to quit. Oh, hey, welcome all the folks. Finally, it feels funny to me to have feedback pegs tests when there is no feedback pegs anymore. I think I can just move these. Into the feedback tests. Yo, Uli. Been a long time. And I do want to note that these are for the pegs. Oh. Good to have you. Right, let's go. Hoping for all green. All green. Delete this. This is move. This is a move test, essentially, refactoring. I haven't, Eric. I'm kind of afraid that I'd have to teach it how to do the Arlo's commit notation, and that it wouldn't understand the intent behind what I'm trying to say. I suppose what I could do with Lumen is say, generate the commit message and then add the commit notation in front of it myself manually. Uli, I just realized I still haven't managed to use any Swift tests. A colleague supervised our newest team member adding those to our code base, so I never got an excuse. Yeah, come on in. One nice thing about no spoilers, please, on Severed season 2. I haven't. I'm not ready to watch it yet. Nice benefit of Swift tests over XC test is actual parallelization. In XC test, we get fake parallelization. Well, it's not fake, but to parallelize them, you have to spin up multiple simulators. And for microtests, it takes longer to spin up the simulators than it does to run the tests. So it's not worth it. But for Swift tests, it can get there and go, okay, multiple processes, go. And it's nice. All right, let's wrap this up. Now, we did some work off the board. No, we did the simplified design. And with that, this is done. So, what did we do? We did the 4 rules of simple design. Something to check out. What else did we have that was interesting? No, it's good to have people joining. Any other thoughts, observations? Stuff like extract function, move function. Those are all from the book, the refactoring book. I guess another note I would add to myself is always clean up when you're done. I thought we were done, and then I realized we've got design now that needs cleaning. Uli, I can't wait to use them, but I should make an effort to steal some away from colleagues. Been mostly spending my time writing catch 2 tests. Nice. C++. Reviewing other C++ because somehow you've ended up the main C++ dev. I haven't done C++ in a long time. But catch 2 would be definitely the tool to use there. So I'm glad you have a nice system for that. I think that's it. What do you think? Hope this was interesting, fun. Glad to have a larger number of people join. These sessions I do every week at this time for 90 minutes-ish. So if you're watching now, give me a follow so that you'll get the notification when I go live next week. Next week will be interesting. It'll be challenging to get back into the SwiftUI side of things. All right. With that, we'll call it a day. Thanks for joining. See you next week. Bye-bye.